Hurricane Idalia is strengthening as it barrels toward the coast of Florida, but impacts are already being felt. That chance of tornadoes gets a lot higher as we head into this evening and going into tonight, and the storm is likely to make landfall as we head into tomorrow morning as a catastrophic major hurricane. We've got Franklin out there as well, coupled with a new depression which rapidly formed, previously known Invest 92L. Additionally, there is a disturbance off the coast of Africa, and a tropical wave is making its way into the Caribbean. So we will be taking a look at all that is happening in this video. So before I go into details, please do subscribe to my channel and tap the bell so that you never miss an important update. And let us go ahead and get straight into it. We're going to kickstart things looking at this map here. Here we can see our 3 active tropical cyclones. We have Depression 11, and that is not going to be much of a concern because it could become a tropical storm briefly by tomorrow, but then it is going to be dissipating as we head to the latter part of this week. So current sustained winds are 35 miles per hour, and it is moving to the northwest at 2 miles per hour. So it's barely moving out there. And as I said, it was previously known 92L, which had a formation chance of 30% early this morning, but it rapidly got those thunderstorms together and reached the threshold required for tropical cyclone designation, hence Tropical Depression 11. If it becomes a named storm, it will acquire the name Jose, which is the next name to be used for this hurricane season. Now we're heading to the coast of Africa, and here we can see this tropical wave highlighted with a 50% chance of development. So aside from those thunderstorms and that convective activity moving through the Cabo Verde Islands, no one else should be impacted by this. It should move out to sea, and if it should develop, is likely to be a fish storm, meaning it's not going to be making its way to any land masses and will be loitering out there by itself in the Atlantic. Now we're heading closer to the Caribbean, and here we are taking a look at parts of the basin. There we can see that there is a big area of showers and thunderstorms that are quite disorganized. So a tropical wave is entering the basin, and thus it has been inducing some rainfall across parts of the Caribbean, just as I mentioned this morning. So going all the way up to Dominica have likely felt impact. So Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, even going to the northeastern side of Venezuela have likely been experiencing some impacts from this tropical wave as it moves in. As we head further north, though, nothing much really happening. And there we have some thunderstorms that have developed in parts of western Puerto Rico, but notice how quickly that's blown off to the southwest. That is coming from Franklin's outflow. And similar story as we head into Hispaniola. A bit of thunderstorm activity, but for the most part, it has been a rather hot and sunny day. So with regards to that tropical wave, there could still be some rainfall as we head through today, even into tomorrow as well. And periods of heavy rainfall can trigger flooding. So guys, if there is some flooding, please do not take any unnecessary risks. And development of it is not expected. As we saw earlier, we don't have a new area marked to watch for development in the Caribbean. So this tropical wave is unlikely to develop, nonetheless still enhancing the activity, which in the case of flooding, it could be dangerous. And so as we head to Jamaica, go into parts of Cuba, the Cayman Islands, much isn't happening. Let's head further to the west, and here we have a pretty clear picture of what is going on in the basin. A part of Idalia is cut off. We'll zoom into the cyclone very soon, but there is still a lot of moisture in the region. Some thunderstorms popping up across parts of Central America as we're progressing through this afternoon, and even some thunderstorms still in the vicinity of parts of western Cuba. As we head to the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands, there isn't much happening right now. And so before we delve into Idalia, we want to talk about Franklin. So here we have Franklin, and it is still a major hurricane out there, and a tropical storm warning is now in effect for Bermuda. So that watch was upgraded to a warning, and it should remain a major hurricane until around tomorrow afternoon. So it will gradually weaken as it encounters less conducive conditions and eventually become post-tropical by the latter part of the week. But as we head into tomorrow, those tropical storm conditions could be felt across Bermuda, those tropical storm force winds, probably some periods of heavy rainfall, and that storm surge as well. And so now we're going on to the monster in the making, Idalia, which is a strengthening system. As we can see, some of that activity, those thunderstorms, even the threat of tornadoes already in effect for Florida. This is what I mentioned yesterday, that as we would head to this evening, evening and heading into Wednesday, the conditions would only deteriorate heading up to the point of landfall. So most of the state is feeling impacts in one way or another, but we can see that the main thing itself is offshore. So that's just a band coming from the hurricane, and it is strengthening. It is going to continue strengthening up until the point of landfall. There's nothing between it and becoming a major hurricane right now, and we can see that the eye is trying to pop out. However, as we go to the visible satellite imagery, here we have the loop a little bit slower here, but we can see that the eye is definitely trying to clear itself out. And as I mentioned before, we saw Franklin jump from Cat 2 to Cat 4 in a matter of hours. There is no doubt that Idalia could do the same. I hope that the preparations have been completed, especially for persons that live within the warning area, for parts of Northwest Florida, going to the Big Bend area. So there is a lot that is in store. There's going to be that storm surge. And as I mentioned before, it would be enhanced by the supermoon because that naturally results in high tide. So that will be enhanced. And there's also going to be those very strong winds, the very heavy rainfall as well. So a lot is going to be bearing down on Florida. As I said, I hope that everyone has taken the necessary precautions because it is only going to get worse from this point onwards. Afterwards, Idalia will be rapidly weakening as it makes its way inland because it will be cut off from its source of energy, but will be taking that flood threat and that tornado threat along with it as it exits the southeastern states. We see that these watches and warnings extend all the way up to North Carolina. So what happens afterwards is pretty much unknown at this point in time. Some models want to have this looping around and probably curving back to Florida, but we'll see what happens. I would say there's a low chance of that happening right now, but Idalia is likely to be a major hurricane, possibly close to Category 4 or at Cat 4 status. So we will see what happens with the cyclone as time goes by. And in terms of current information on the storm, it is a Category 2 hurricane, so it has been strengthened through today with maximum winds of around 100 miles per hour, and it is moving up to the north at 16 miles per hour. So there we have it. It is strengthening, and as I mentioned earlier, there isn't much between it and rapid intensification. Let's go on to conditions. So firstly, we're looking at this map here, and in those areas of burnt orange and that orange and red, that is indicating dry air, but we see that that isn't a huge deal for the cyclone right now. As we head onto the wind shear map, those green lines, they indicate the favorable shear, so those upper level winds are not really impactful on it. We see that wind shear gets more unfavorable as we head further into the state. So for now, the shear is not an issue for Idalia. And the waters, oh my gosh, I don't even need to go into details about it. We know how hot it has been this year, and the Gulf of Mexico is also thriving with that above average temperature. So we see that especially in the Eastern Gulf, we see these darker shades of oranges and pale reds indicating that above average temperature. This will be fueling Idalia to become a monster before it makes landfall. And so guys, please stay safe as best as you can. My thoughts and prayers will be with all of you as we head throughout the rest of today and throughout tomorrow. But of course, I'll continue to keep you posted so that you know exactly what is happening. And so thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope you found it to be quite informative, but if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll respond to you once I get the chance to. And as always, remember to be weatherwise.